Hello everyone, this is Erik Bryant and back with the Erik Bryant Show. This is part 2 of episode 11. It's been a while since I've been able to bring you another episode because of, personal things, work, business, family business, things like that. When you got two boys as wild as these two, this one and that one back there, sometimes it's kind of hard to do a show or whatever. As you can tell, my son's going crazy right now. Get back to more wrestling news. As I said in part 1, some of the stuff is older news that I just haven't had a chance to talk about yet. That is me. And now I'm going to talk about it. About 3 weeks ago, many officials were unhappy with the comments made by AEW as he was mic'd up during a tag match. He was managing his team, the Primetime Players. They were taking on Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, the WWE Tag Team Champions. And AEW said that Titus O'Neil was like Kobe Bryant in a Colorado hotel room. He was unstoppable. Many people were offended by that, saying that, you know, AEW made a reference to a rape joke, and they were upset about that. WWE officials got on to Twitter and said that appropriate actions would be taken from AEW. At first they were just saying that it was a stern talking to and that he would still be mic'd up. He was at the SmackDown tapings the following night on Tuesday night, and when Darren Young wrestled, I believe it was Darren Young and R-Truth going one-on-one, he was there. He was still mic'd up and everything. A lot of people thought that AEW was trying to get back on the good graces by tweeting support Linda McMahon in her Senate run, and he said vote or die, which WWE officials also said they didn't like that. They didn't tell him to do that, and they didn't like his whole campaign thing. They felt like he was just trying to suck up to save his job, which ultimately AEW was released from the WWE, and they cited the incident with the Kobe Bryant reference as well as other incidents, like in a match with the Primetime Players taking on Epico and Primo, when Primo was trying to get into the ring to save his partner Epico. AEW was mic'd up there again, and he's like, come back here, Taco Bell. And some Mexican, Hispanic people didn't like that reference. So things like that, they say, were the reasoning for his firing. Since then, he went on to Twitter. He did make some good points, saying that he was fired for a rape joke, but Vince McMahon all the time talks about Jim Ross, who has cerebral palsy, which is a disease, and he talks about JR. He comes out with cowboy hats, he scrunches up the side of his face like, and all that kind of stuff to make fun of JR and everything. And but you have the don't be a bully, be a star campaign, and your owner, your CEO of your company, Vince McMahon, is making fun of an announcer and everything. I don't really understand why Jim Ross takes that abuse, because he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, broadcasters in wrestling of all time, and he could get a job doing anything or being anywhere he wanted, TNA, Ring of Honor, you know, wherever or whatever for that matter he wanted to do if he wanted to step outside the wrestling, because he at one time was a commentator, a sports commentator on the radio as well as on television. But that's a different story for a different day. Anyway, AEW also said that he said a rape joke and he got fired for it, but the WWE actually put a convicted rapist into the Hall of Fame, which was Mike Tyson, and it is a true statement. Whether you like Mike Tyson or not, you gotta give it to AEW. His real name Brian Jaffe. He made a good point. But he continued to tweet, like, with things like, he said Linda McMahon's campaign to save jobs. He says create jobs. He tweeted, create jobs my ass. You know, he's saying that he got fired, one of the reasons because of him trying to back her in her campaign and everything. Some of the guys in the locker room who felt sorry for him. It was reported that they felt less sorry, less sympathetic as he continued to tweet day by day. JTG, who spoke up and was unhappy about certain things, was actually on an episode of Raw, and he got squashed by Ryback, excuse me, not Ryberg, even though a lot of people call him that, Ryback, and he made some comments about that. Of course, JTG got squashed for speaking his mind, saying what he wanted to, and all of that. I don't really agree with the whole thing that AEW said, but getting fired over it, I don't really agree with that either. And people being kind of sensitive about the whole thing, saying it was a rape joke. Kobe Bryant was allegedly, he allegedly raped the victim, which in court later on came out to say it was just allegations. He was freed on that. He was not convicted. Kind of hard, you know, to believe sometimes that a sports star like a Kobe Bryant or whatever would have to rape a lady, a woman, because some women are just, you know, gold diggers. They see, oh my God, Kobe Bryant, I'll let him do whatever he wants to me. And then some are like what they're saying this woman did, that alleged that Kobe Bryant raped her back in 2004, saying, you know, I'm going to try and make money off of him. I'm going to say he did this to me. He forced his way on me and all this kind of stuff to try and get paid because, you know, he's got money. But, you know, I, of course, have never been a victim of rape. I'm glad, and I hope I never am. And I hope my daughter or my wife, you know, anybody close to me will never be a victim of it. So that, you know, people say, well, if you've never been a part of it, or, you know, not a part, but a victim, or know someone who's been raped, it's a very traumatic experience, and nobody should joke about it or whatever. I think in the context that he joked in it, though, it wasn't as major as some people flew off the handle about and everything. Like, he was also upset because CM Punk on Twitter said that him being fired was justified because of the joke. And then, of course, AEW came back and said that CM Punk saying that he was justified of being fired. Of course, nothing happened to Punk when he told one of his Twitter followers to go kill himself. He actually told another Twitter follower who was against gay marriage to go drink bleach. But Punk immediately apologized for those actions, for those statements and everything. And plus, it's really a whole thing of supply and demand. AEW, who was more in demand in the WWE, CM Punk or Abraham Washington? Obviously, it's Punk. AEW just a manager, just an on-camera performer out of the ring, and CM Punk's the WWE champion. So, of course, they're going to give Punk a little more leeway than they do AEW. Is it fair? Not always, but is it life? Is it business? Of course it is. So it's not really something to be alarmed about or be shocked over, because of course Punk has more value to the brand than a manager that's mic'd up and making comments has to the brand. So, you know, I kind of felt the same way. I felt bad for AEW. He shouldn't have been fired, but as he continues to talk on Twitter and go into rants and things, it's not hard to feel a little less sympathetic for the guy each time he opens his mouth. Heath Slater, it was said that he volunteered to work with the legends, the angle where he would come out week after week and a different legend leading up to Raw's 1000th episode would come out and squash him pretty much. Heath wanted to go out there, do that, work with the legends, and they said that he's earned his keep, showing that he has mic skill every week, and every legend that he works with spoke very highly of him. They said they liked working with him and everything, and that, when you get praise like that from the legends, you could go a long way in the business, go a long way as a future, or having a future in the company, maybe a future push or something for you. Tensai, he posted a video on Tout that was offensive and he had his handler Sakamoto with him. He said it was very, very dangerous to drive with a Japanese person. He also, at one point in the video, smacked him and ordered him to open his eyes, which a lot of Asian people, Japanese people took offense to. But on Raw, Jerry Lawler made a comment that was kind of a racial thing. He said that when Sakamoto gets beat by Tensai, he changes his name to Something Wong. For those that don't get that whole thing, something wrong. Something wrong. So that's the whole thing, I guess, with the whole, go back to AEW. Why does Lawler get to sit there and make comments like that? You're Be a Star, not a bully campaign, but you got Jerry Lawler sitting there making fat jokes about Vicky Guerrero and all of this kind of stuff. But, and it's alright to do that as long as you're a good guy or a face doing it to a bad guy. But, you know, and people are saying, well, you know, the whole Be a Star thing, kids know that these guys are on TV and they're playing a role. Do kids know that? Because I know some kids think that it's real. 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, it's real. They don't know the stuff is fake. It's for the parents to tell them it's scripted and think it's not really real and all of that. But I mean, some kids think it is. I've had a problem with Lawler's commentary for years now. I don't like the face Jerry Lawler, the heel where he was cracking jokes and things when he and Vince McMahon were working together. To me, worked better. And his whole watered down Lawler is just terrible to me. But Tensai, they said they were not going to fire him. They haven't fired him as of yet. They said they're just punishing him. He hasn't been on TV very much. I think he's probably been relegated to Superstars as of late. And that, I guess, is his punishment. There were talks for Charlie Sheen, to be at SummerSlam in Kane's corner, but thank God they nixed those. Charlie Sheen was nowhere near SummerSlam, which I was glad of, because I did not want Daniel Bryan to get mixed in with a celebrity, either wrestling him or getting into some feud where the guy was outside managing the guy Daniel Bryan was wrestling. So I'm glad the WWE thought better and nixed that idea. The McMahons lost a potential $500 million in 2010. The WWE stock went from $18.64 a share down to $7.86. And they said if that continues to decline, that the WWE network could be in jeopardy. It was supposed to be launched sometime this year, actually sometime in September or October. Now they're saying maybe sometime in the middle of next year. John Laurinaitis' resignation is legitimate. It's not a storyline. WWE cited burnout for his reason, but the real reason is that Triple H has never been a fan of John Laurinaitis, and he had been losing his duties to multiple people as the months went on. His booking duties, his talent relation duties, and things like that. He's supposed to be returning soon as an on-air performer. The reason why he didn't leave the company altogether because his family just bought a home in Connecticut, and he didn't want them to have to pick right back up and move so quickly. But that's the reason why Laurinaitis has not been on TV, and you have not heard his name. His hands haven't been in anything either. That to me could be a good thing or a bad thing. Triple H is taking more power. He's running talent relations. He's had more on input on the shows and things like that. WWE says they're high on Jinder Mahal. They feel he could be a major heel for the long term. That's why he has started to kind of feud with Ryback a little, but the feud's not really believable to me because nobody in their right mind is going to think that Mahal could beat Ryback. And spoiler alert, they actually wrestled Friday night, tomorrow night on SmackDown. It was taped on Tuesday, and Ryback beats him. So they finally have their match, and I don't know if it was a squash, but I'm pretty sure it probably is. And very quickly before we go for this episode, Vader is said to be down in FCW working with the talent. That could be a good person to learn from, the man they call Vader. See you in episode 12.